largely defenseless people. They don't have an army, they don't have tanks, they don't have an air force, any of these things. So it's very asymmetrical. This is the reason why the West supports Israel, because there are ideological links and cultural links with the country. And also there are geopolitical reasons, for example, in the case of the United States, for the United States to have strong relations with Israel. In a way, Israel plays a role in being, if you like, a 51st state halfway across the world for the United States.
Okay, and also loads of countries are actually pinning their hopes on Egypt to try and broker a ceasefire between the two. Do you think there's any chance of that actually turning into anything solid?
Yeah, well, indeed. I mean, even if a ceasefire is arranged, whether or not Israel actually will hold to it, it would probably be the first time in history that Israel would actually hold to a ceasefire relating to the Gaza Strip. As I just said, it's broken 2 ceasefires in the last week. If that does happen, if there is a ceasefire which is put in place and holds for some time, that will alleviate some of the suffering temporarily on the Palestinian people in Gaza. But statistically speaking, historically speaking, looking at the historical record, that will not hold forever.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Harry Steer, a human rights activist joining us live from Gaza. The Egyptian Prime Minister Hisham Kandil visited Gaza today and called for the immediate halt of Israeli aggression on Gaza. Kandil also demanded that world leaders step up and stop the Zionist regime's brutal offensive on the besieged Gaza Strip. Our Gaza correspondent Noor Harizin has the details.
Egyptian Prime Minister Hisham Kandil arrived in the Gaza Strip today with a high-level Egyptian delegation in an effort to show solidarity with the Palestinian people. Yet, even as the Prime Minister was in Gaza for the 3-hour visit, Israeli occupation forces continued their attack against Gaza. This visit marked the first time the Gaza Strip was visited by an Egyptian Prime Minister. Kandil, who entered Gaza through the Egyptian-Palestinian Rafah crossing, was greeted by government officials and visited the family of Al-Qassam leader Ahmed al-Jabari to offer his condolences. Kandil also visited the Shifa hospital. There he blamed the Israeli entity for the conflict and said the tragedy could not pass by in silence. He also said the world should take responsibility for stopping Israeli aggression.
Egypt is standing alongside their Palestinian people until they get all of their rights and build an independent Palestine. The first Egyptian civil president, Mr. Mohammed Morsi, asked me to pay this visit to Gaza is not only to show political support, but also to be with our Palestinian people on the ground.
Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood-led government warned privately that there was no immediate prospect for a trace or an end to the Israeli operation, saying the conflict could continue for at least another week. Hamas officials announced that the visit was significant, particularly during the current wave of aggression, and that it would send an important message to the Israeli leaders.
This important visit, which came during the Israeli aggression, is showing the great Egyptian solidarity, especially that we are witnessing the political change in the Egyptian government, which is standing by Palestinians against Israelis.
As political rhetoric continues to escalate, Palestinians have become tired of talk and are now ready for real action to take place to stop the continued bloodshed of innocent Palestinians. Left the peaceful Egypt to be under fire in the Gaza Strip, the Egyptian Prime Minister Hisham Kandil is showing the big difference between the new Egyptian government and Mubarak government reactions toward the Gaza Strip. Noor Harizin, Tijah TV, Gaza.
Now, with us live from Gaza is Dr. Raji Sourani, the chairman of the Arab Organization for Human Rights and the vice president of the International Federation of Human Rights. Dr. Sourani, now, psychologically, the fact that Hamas has been able to fire rockets that have reached Tel Aviv and the air raid sirens have gone on, which hasn't happened for the past 21 years, what sort of an impact does this have on the Israeli morale?
I think this is unprecedented. Israel declared in a cut way that in the first few hours they were able to destroy the entire arsenal of rockets of Hamas, and obviously, I mean, after 48 hours, this is not the true story, and Hamas having its full capacity, and they are retaliating in easy way against this Israeli aggression.
Okay, and the fact that this is unprecedented, the fact that they've fired rockets into Tel Aviv, we've heard that the Israeli army, they're going to be increasing, they've called 30,000 army reserves to go towards Gaza. Do you think there's going to be a ground operation as well?
Well, with the Israelis always expect the unexpected, and Israel triggered this offense, I mean, against Gaza Strip, against Gaza people. They stormed Gaza and they made no safe haven in Gaza. And for the last 2 days, nobody slept, I mean, in Gaza. 2 million under the heavy fire of the Israeli land, air, and sea. And clearly, the worst yet to come. And I cannot exclude at all the possibility of having land incursion to the Gaza Strip. This had happened before. This had happened during Castled operation. But that means also, I mean, to expect more killings and injuries. It will be like elephant in the garden. And in the end of the day, civilians will be in the eye of the storm. And they are the ones who are going to pay dearly and heavily.
And if a ground operation was to occur, do you think Hamas would react even further? Do you think they've got even more rockets that can travel a further distance, a further range than Tel Aviv?
I don't think it's Hamas only. Palestinians are not entitled to be good victims. We are facing aggression, we are facing occupation. It's belligerent occupation, it's a bloody occupation, and right of resistance. I mean, it's a very basic fundamental right and obligation on a free people, and I think, you know, Palestinian people entitled for self-determination and resisting this Israeli aggression.
But do you think the Palestinians who are resisting at the moment could have any rockets that can actually go further than Tel Aviv?
I'm not military expert, and this is not my field, but as a Palestinian, as somebody who lived this, who lived it on his skin, I think we are fully entitled for self-determination and for self-determination and resistance.
Dr. Sourani, I just want to ask...
you know, the resistance can be by all ways and means.
Dr. Sourani, I just want to ask you about the sound that we just heard at the moment. Was that an Israeli raid on Gaza?
This is a rocket launched against the Israelis from the Gaza Strip.
Okay, and how long do we hear these rocket launches go off?
Well, I mean, it's back and forth. We have air raids. The minute that I began this interview, there was a target, has been hit by 3 Israeli bombs from F-16 jet fighter, and 3 columns of heavy smoke, I mean, raised up. And now we are having, I mean, Palestinian rocket, I mean, going to the other side.
So it's a one-on-one. You have rockets falling on Gaza and then rockets going out as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and also I just want to ask you,
it's a real war place. It's a real war place.
And
Israel, I mean, making this place total mess. I mean.
What are the chances, do you think, of a ceasefire, considering the situation on the ground at the moment between the two? It's very tense.
Well, of course, I mean, nobody in need for peace more than the suppressed and the oppressed, and nobody in need, I mean, more than people who are suffering, I mean, aggression and under occupation. And I think, you know, Palestinians do want a ceasefire, and they want an end for this aggression. They didn't initiate with it. Israel triggered all that by the assassination of Al-Jabri, the commander of Hamas, and with this, I mean, this new wave of violence, I mean, occurred.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Raji Sourani, the chairman of the Arab Organization for Human Rights and the vice president of the International Federation of Human Rights. Coming up on the program, Jordanians call for the downfall of King Abdullah.